When the dust settles, Alphino is minded to share his account of the events that unfolded in Pagalthon with the Sultana. Standing around here worrying is not going to help matters. Come, we must discuss the day's events with Pippin and her grace. Brave scions. Oh. Well, at least we have her grace. Would that I could treat you to a hero's welcome, but I bear urgent news from the frontistery. Your grace, whatever is the matter. As our troops withdrew from Pagalthon, they came upon the 2 scouts sent to the nearby tower. I have yet to hear a full account, but it seems that one of them, your friend I believe, had been wounded and was being dragged away by the other. Oh no. I must go. Forgive me, your grace. Can you tell us aught of Ehrenwald's condition, your grace? The wounded scout. Not save that it is grave. The chirurgeons tend to him even as we speak. The infirmary must be inundated with the wounded. If all of us go, we'll only get underfoot. Lavenza, Astinian, would you mind going after Alphino? He may need some support from someone other than me. Very well. Thank you. The rest of us will see that the relevant people know what took place in Pagalthon. Come on, then. Yeah, I have some comments on the whole Ehrenwald thing, but I think I'll wait until that part of the actual story, which will be in 5.56. If nothing else, to make sure that I think it's the Alchemist Guild, isn't it? If nothing else, just to make sure that I've got all the facts straight before I start flapping my lips. That's right. I remember I didn't get to talk to him here the first time around. I didn't know he was there. I take it Alphino is fond of Ehrenwald. I know how he feels, but hand-wringing isn't going to help anyone. You had better have a word. Instead of standing there gawping, why don't you tell your friend to stop whining like an unfed dog? People are fighting for their lives in there. Please tell me something. Anything. Another one come to see the lad in silver armor? Master Dame is attending to him as we speak. If you would be so kind as to wait. It's like Damelo something. What does Master Dame say? Tell me his exact words. Enough, Alphino. This isn't helping. Let the chirurgeons do their work. But you're right. Forgive me. When we said our farewells to Ehrenwald, I was afraid that something like this might happen. But now that it has, all we can do is wait.
Fordola, have you been waiting here all this time?
Oh, I thought I had it turned on before, but I guess not.
We have done what we can. The rest is up to him.
May we see him?
I do not think that wise. You must let him sleep.
Thank you for bringing him back. He owes you his life. I just wish I had been there. Perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps I could have...
Could have what? Got tempered? Don't flatter yourself. You can't save everyone. No one can. Not even the warrior of bloody light. People die all the time, for no good reason. And those who take up the sword die quicker than most. If you're going to shed a tear every time a soldier falls on the battlefield, you'd best stay away. It's no place for the weak of heart.
It may be that victory cannot be won without cost. But all life is precious, and I refuse to shrug at its loss.
All life is precious! Oh, you need to grow up, little man. Before your sparkling ideals get everyone killed.
You're right. He is idealistic. But the world has more than its fair share of realists, like you and me. It's people like him who dare to dream that things could be better and make it happen against all the odds. They are the ones whose names live on forever. The heroes.
The battlefield's littered with would-be heroes. At this rate, you'll lot'll be next. And what'll become of your precious dreams then? They'll be gone. Like dust on the wind.
God, these characters are so good.
Dreams worth fighting for don't die so easily.
And from Astinian of all people. That woman, she plays at scorn, but her eyes are filled with sorrow. Sorrow deep enough to drown in. Yeah, like, I get the feeling like she is just tired of all this. You know? Like, in a, like, exhausted, like, sorrowful way. It just, she wants this to end. She's so, like, burnt out by it. I know, I know. There's nothing more I can do here. Come, let us rejoin the others. Her Grace invites the Scions of the Seventh Dawn to join her in the fragrant chamber. Your comrades have already arrived. Will the three of you be joining them? Will we? Or we will. Jesus. Dyslexic much?
Your Grace, pray forgive us our lateness.
Think not of that. I understand a close comrade of yours was wounded in the line of duty. Arenvold. It was at the Alliance's behest that he risked all, and we are grieved to hear of his condition. Rest assured, he will receive the finest care our chirurgeons can provide. On that you have my word. Now, we would share with you the findings of the mission. Pippin, pray relate to our guests the details of Fordola's account.
First Bahamut, now Ifrit. Or Lunar Ifrit, as Fan Daniel would doubtless have it.
'Tis now all but certain that the towers were conceived to facilitate the summoning of primals by those imprisoned within. Less certain is the means by which the Telophoroi constrain the wills of said entities to enact their designs in defiance of the pleas of their victims.
That's what I want to know.
Mayhap they do not. If mere proximity to the towers is enough to make loyal servants of the Empire's mortal enemies, it stands to reason that the same is true for those held captive. They invoke their gods for the good of Garlemald, and in their disturbed state of mind, summon a primal whose form reflects their own alteration.
It all begins to make sense. Upon closer inspection, I realized that the towers bear a striking resemblance to a much larger structure which Urianger and I observed from afar during our visit to the Imperial capital. Assuming it too is capable of tempering those in its immediate vicinity, it would go some way to explain the swiftness with which the Telophoroi managed to rally so many Imperials to their cause.
While the situation in Garlemald is indeed troubling, I fear we have more immediate concerns. Ifrit was not the only primal summoned. At approximately the same time, observers at several other towers bore witness to the emergence of further such entities. For a blessing, none appear to wield aught approaching the destructive power of Bahamut, and the Grand Companies are moving to deal with the threat even as we speak.
You need only tell me where they are, Your Grace. The Grand Companies, Your Grace. Is that wise? I mean, obviously it's because they don't temper, so it's not really an issue. I'll go with the first. At least it comes across as like, hey, I'm here if you need me.
Though we are aware that the task will not be easy, we would call upon the Scions only as a last resort. Pray, conserve your strength for now. After all, it was not so very long ago that you rid us of Bahamut. On which note, I am pleased to report that our talks with the Amalja have reached an agreeable conclusion. They have pledged their full support to our cause. It is our hope that this historic agreement will encourage other tribes to join us at the negotiating table. And I know that I speak for all of the Allied leaders when I say that we will welcome them with open arms at such time as they do. Of course, this was only made possible by the feats of heroism performed at Paglfan. Moreover, we shall not allow the sacrifices of those fallen in battle to have been made in vain. As hope leads to victory, shall victory lead to a new dawn for Eorzea.
May these words ever be our guide, Your Grace.
Now, if you will forgive me, I must consult with the Syndicate on the matter of our new allies' integration. Till next we meet, my friends, I bid you safe travels and blessed respite.
Quite the gaggle here. If there is no reason to linger, I will take my leave. Amidst this great push for peace with the beast tribes, we would do well to remember that old prejudices yet remain. It is a delicate political dance, and I do not envy the Sultana her task, nor any alliance leader. Alphino knows only too well that sacrifices are an unavoidable part of conflict. But knowing something does not change how one feels about it. You yourself have shared adventures with Ehrenwald, have you not? Then I shall say no more. With the secrets of the towers thus laid bare, our duty to prevent further abductions taketh on new import. Fail in this, and our enemy shall punish our negligence with a plague of primals. Even without the threat of tempering to contend with, the grain companies have quite a task on their hands. Regardless of her Grace's protestations to the contrary, it may be best to dispatch a few of our own to assist in the endeavor. Remind me to mention it to Tataru, would you? Though we have won our first battle against the Telafroi, and made significant discoveries to boot, the war has scarcely begun. We must steel ourselves for what lies ahead. Right then. Unless anyone has any objections, I think it's about time we return to the Rising Stones. And that includes you, Alphino. Ehrenwald is in good hands here. Of course. He would doubtless mock me for pacing about the infirmary. Let us retire then, that we might regain our strength and readiness for the coming challenges. If all are in agreement then, I shall let Kral know to expect us. A hot bath and a hearty meal shouldn't be beyond arranging with the time available. It will be good to be home. I have some thinking to do. Yes, I'll try asking him. And thank you. I shall look forward to it. Our comrades eagerly await our return, and Kral, in particular, has a few matters she is keen to discuss, one of which concerns you, Estinian, believe it or not. You will join us, won't you? He's like, ugh, fine. Really? I thought you said you were avoiding that Baldessian woman. If I refuse, she would only pursue me. It's like, might as well just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get this over with, shall we? All right. Back to the Rising Stones. Yeah, like I said earlier, the fact that we're now in content that still has mysteries to it is nice. You know, it makes me think. It's speculate.
Welcome back. I expect you must all be exhausted. Ere you take your rest, however, I would beg a moment of your time. Thanks to Arenvold's selfless efforts, we may now be confident that we understand the function of the towers. But many questions remain regarding the reason for the summonings and what lurks behind the looming edifice in Garlemald. Until such questions are answered, we will struggle to devise an effective strategy for thwarting the Telophoroi's stated aim. Nothing less than the destruction of this star. And so, given the gravity of the situation, I move that we petition the aid of Sharlayan.
Good luck.
'Tis possible the ancient knowledge preserved within our archives may hide a clue to our enemy's methods. But given Sharlayan's established policy of non-intervention, our former colleagues are not like to aid us in its discovery.
Oh, I well remember what they're like. The Forum's barefaced refusal to assist you in the days prior to the calamity must rank as Sharlayan's most shameful act since the Exodus. But were the final days to be reenacted, it would spell doom for us all. Surely even they cannot turn a blind eye to that. I trust we are all of the same mind on this matter. Urgent as it seemed, I took the liberty of petitioning the Alliance for leave to act as Eorzea's emissary, and have since received their blessing.
I presume your role as a student of Baldessian will carry some weight with the Forum?
One can but hope. If truth be told, our organization has been a shadow of its former self ever since the disappearance of the Isle of Val. But the name does still retain some degree of prestige. I only pray it will be enough. If there are no objections, I shall depart for Sharlayan at once. But before I do, I should also mention the other matter to which I would devote some time during my stay. After hearing what transpired in the first, I began to question the true nature of Hydaelyn's blessing. A topic I have discussed at some length with Y'shtola.
We were wondering, when was the last time Hydaelyn spoke to you directly?
Yeah, it wasn't that day in the Crystarium. If that day I'm thinking of is the Star Shower, because that was clearly, we were told, was just a or is likely speculated as just a message that's always going out. Near the end of the Dragon Song War. But I mean, wasn't that Minfilia as the word of the mother? Which, I mean, we've heard from her as well, but I'll go with that. Because I know it was sometime, I think, back in Heaven's Word.
When you regained her blessing, was it not? But never since. Not in all your time in the First, when you faced the Unsundered, the very heart of Zodiark.
History shows us that Hydaelyn is able to awaken the echo in her chosen, convey her will directly, and grant the blessing of light. To our knowledge, however, she has not sought to intervene in man's affairs for some considerable time.
Might not the explanation for that lie with her choice of champion? Mayhap she is content to trust in her judgment.
Mayhap she is. But following my initial discussion with Kryl, I made inquiries of my own. And as far as I am able to tell, Hydaelyn has not made her will known to anyone.
During my time in the First, the Oracle of Light spoke to me through Reen. But that was not the will of Hydaelyn. It was Minfilia herself.
Indeed. And while she and Hydaelyn were inextricably linked, Minfilia yet acted of her own volition. A messenger, yes, but one who spoke with her own voice.
I wonder, could Hydaelyn's silence suggest the presence of some disruptive force, perhaps? Some obstacle to communication? While I share Urianger's high opinion of your conduct, I see no reason why she would deny you her guidance altogether. Then again, who am I to say? The fact is, we simply don't know. But if the explanation is to be found anywhere, I can think of worse places to look than the archives of Sharlayan, and their research on the Ethereal Sea in particular. Resolved though I am to go, believe me when I say that I take no pleasure in the thought of leaving you a member short. Now of all times. Estinian, we stand on the eve of a struggle that will decide the fate of this star. One in which we Scions may play a telling part, yet we are but few in number. And so I must ask you again, will you join us?
Oh, that puppy dog face.
You see the world the way you want it to be. I see the world the way it is. You are idealistic to a fault. But I know you would never turn your back on those in need. Never close your eyes to their suffering. And somehow, your deeds lend truth to your words, giving the lie to my doubts in so doing. I have seen others draw strength from your belief. In Ishgard, in Alamigo, you inspired them to stand up and fight. To win, no less. And even when you lost those you held dear, you carried their spirit with you and made their memory your guiding light. The burden of so many hopes and dreams would be too heavy for most to bear. But you bear it willingly, as you have shown me. Some dreams are too important to let go. If you have need of my strength, it's yours. After all you've done, How could I refuse?
Thank you, Estinian. Whatever challenges await us, I shall not falter. You have my word.
And now, I may bid you farewell. Safe in the knowledge that all is as it should be. In this little corner of the world, at least.
You will be sorely missed. Tread warily in Sharlayan, and do try not to let the Forum embroil you in their politics. A forlorn hope, I know, given the individuals involved.
I shall do my very best. Farewell.
Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace, and this is where the Reaper tease happened. Although it wasn't a Reaper tease at the time, it was just new job tease.
Well, does this one meet with your approval? Apparently not. Or could it be that you're still upset about the dragons?
You are unwise to remind me of so costly a failure. It will not affect our plans, I trust.
So he does have plans.
Oh, hardly at all. Though, admittedly, the chances of us being able to procure any more Mericidian dragons are rather slimmer following Tiamat's reappearance. Oh, but the seeds have been sown, my lord. We have only to wait for them to quicken. Speaking of preparations, is it safe to assume that you will be ready to control you-know-what?
The hour draws nigh. This nation, forged for Ascian ends, will finally prove its worth.
A mighty empire, now no more than an instrument of this star's destruction. What a pleasure it will be to put it to use. Which brings me back to our earlier topic. My lord, while I appreciate that it is not an easy decision, it really is past time you chose your weapon.
There is one that I have been meaning to test.
Well, well, not quite what I was expecting. Though I will say, it does seem rather apt.
And that line was enough to go, it's going to be a scythe. Amidst all the fighting, it's easy to forget what we've achieved, isn't it? I mean, we cured Tiamat. Tiamat, for heaven's sake. You will tell me if I become insufferably smug, won't you? Because the way things are going, it feels like a definite possibility. The sudden appearance of the towers will surely not have escaped the Forum's notice. I would like to think they would be receptive to Kral's request for cooperation in investigating the matter, but unfortunately, their reputation would suggest otherwise. It strikes me as odd that rather than marching on one of the city-states, the Telophoroi have so far made only sporadic attacks. I doubt they'd go to the trouble of putting up all of those towers if that was all they had in store for us. None can deny that Hydaelyn's blessing has been a great boon to our cause, but much remains unknown with regard to her true intentions. Given everything we have learned from our encounters with the Ascians, we must keep our minds open to any and all possibilities. It's interesting. Again, it's, one of those major speculations going into Endwalker. And I am prepared to have my mind blown. If I am to pursue this course, I must be prepared for the hardships that lie ahead. If you've need of my lance, I'll be ready. If not, I'll be reserving my strength in preparation of the next battle. But since you're here, I have a question. The Scions are in close contact with the East Aldernard Trading Company of Kugane, yes? I was wondering if they could place an order for some sun-dried squid. I don't seem to be able to find it in these parts. It's a random request. Though we know not the full extent of the Telophoroi schemes, preventing further abductions must take precedence above all else, for therein lieth the key to depriving our enemy of its most potent weapon. This is true. Oh, Riola is back. I've been keeping me good eye on the towers and telling others to do the same. Of course, I don't mean just us Scions. I've got a whole network of scouts to keep me informed. Alize has been teaching me how to cure tempering using epoxy. I must say, the thought of being in such close proximity to one of the afflicted is rather daunting. We've sent Coltene and the others to be our eyes and ears in the field. Wherever the Telophoroi appear next, we'll be among the first to know. When the tower rose up in Yanksha, my first thought was to stay in Doma to help keep my grandfather safe. But when we heard the news of Bahamut's return, he bid me return to the Rising Stones to aid my fellow Scions. He sends his regards, by the way. Although Ehrenwald and I both served as Scions, I'm afraid that I have had few opportunities to speak with the lad. I do hope he is fit to return to active duty soon. Hoary Boulder certainly cut a fine figure as he set off on his latest mission. I was sad to see him leave, and my nights will be lonelier with just the one brother to keep me company. Just only one thing on her mind, man. World's about to end, only one thing on her mind. Well, it looks like I'm going to have a busy few moons. Not that they ever seem to be anything but. Thancred's got me dispatching troops to every corner of the realm, which is not to say I don't trust the Alliance, because I do. But when it comes to putting down primals, nobody does it better than us. Well, then you lot, more accurately. You won't catch me trading blows with a primal in the near future. But for every fell fiend you vanquish, there's countless meals to arrange, baths to fill, sheets to wash, stores to replenish, and the list goes on. Which is where I come in, and gladly, mind you. It's the least I can do to support the Scions who risk life and limb, like poor Ehrenwald. I wish there was something we could do for him, but we'll just have to settle for saying the odd prayer and keeping a roof over our heads. It wouldn't do to have him come back to a complete shambles, now would it? But there's enough of my rambling, but that's enough of my rambling. Off you go and get some rest. If there are any developments, I promise you'll be the first to know. And there it is. It's just so much, you know. Particularly this patch, because the last one kind of, you know, dropped the towers on us. But this one is like, okay, here's a bunch of stuff to speculate about. And even then, it's, I think, maybe we get 1 or 2 answers in 5.56, but by and large, it's still all just up in the air. Which is cool. I mean, like I've been saying, it's great to finally be into some content that's we don't have answers for yet. So I look forward to it. Thank you all for watching this video. Tonight's stream is the penultimate for Final Fantasy XIV story MSQ as of yet. We finished off 5.5. So the only thing we have left is 5.56, which is only 3 quests. But yeah, 5.5 was great. And it wasn't just 5.5. The last quest of 5.5 or 5.4, which introduced all the towers and everything like that. So tonight's stream was kind of focusing on the towers, which was cool. I'm not remembering all the details, but I think there was even some stuff there that was kind of like, whoa, you know, like I didn't realize that because, like, I didn't realize the context of it because it had been so long since I had done the previous content before, where now I've done everything within like the last 2.5 months. So, it's just good. And of course, this is, as I've mentioned many times, this is now content that we don't have the answers to. It's all still speculation, and, you know, got to wait for Endwalker 4, which is cool. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. So if you've had as much fun as I have, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to come join me live in whatever post 14 shenanigans I'm up to, the link to my Twitch is in the description down below. Thank you again for watching, and have a good one.